For long, educational institutes in India are sort of looked upon as social organizations and charitable organizations and philanthropic organizations and so on. The running of an educational institute, I believe, for a long time has been like any other business enterprise. Although you may not call it for profit or not for profit or whatever you may want to structure it as, but it is very much as an enterprise. I also run two other businesses in retail and in manufacturing, and I see it every day that although maybe not less, but the nuances of running the educational institute is as good as running the manufacturing unit or as good as running any other business. Well, this is my only slide, and I start with taking a clue from Vidya ma'am's talk. Running the ERP or implementing an ERP had been a major challenge even for us. We started somewhere in 2010, 2011, went through so much customizations and went through so many changes. Well, in 2016, we did decide that we will have our own ERP. And this was the simple slide we made when we decided to implement our ERP. One thought for all the startups over here, the difference between an ERP for an educational institute vis-a-vis that of any other organization is that in other organizations like manufacturing, things are supposed to be standardized. Things are supposed to be routine. The purpose of ERP is to make things routine and standardized as much as possible. Educational institutes are meant for innovation. They are meant for proactively implementing change. If we make a system in such a way that आपका कोर्स 4 साल का है, 4 साल में 40 सब्जेक्ट्स उठाना है आपको, and make it very robust around it, this hampers innovation. And I think so that was something that impacted us also while implementing an outside ERP, that all changes that we were proactively thinking of doing, the ERP support was not established. Well, I purposely call education institutes as socially conscious enterprise. And I'll say that social conscious word later on. But for all the startups, every block of this is an opportunity. I'll start off with foremost parents. Although we do believe most of the students are taking decision for their enrollments, but parents are still influential. And at least the UG level, I believe parents still want to be engaged with the students, with the universities, with the schools, with the colleges on understanding what is going on. In a very recent parent meeting, which we conducted at VIT, for only the first year engineering students, we have around 1,200 engineering students in first year. 1,000 plus parents attended that Zoom meeting. And there was a request that please have these as often as possible and as much as possible on Zoom. This means that parents' engagement can't be ruled out. We can't today claim that engineering students, college students, university students are young adults and they are on their own. They are definitely on their own. But there is not, this is not after taking out the urge of parents to be involved. My own example, my daughter who is in school, every email that comes from the school system about what she's studying and what she has completed in a syllabus, I read. And that is out of a natural urge. I don't think that is something right, wrong about it. Corporates, recruiters. Well, these are important stakeholders in our ecosystem of education. And I believe there is a lot of opportunity on how do we more engage with corporates and recruiters overall in the system. For the last, I would say before 10 years, the only job of networking between a college, university and a corporate was placements. हमारे बच्चों को आकर job दो आप. I think we have moved on. We have evolved beyond that. Simple, we want now corporates to be part of our academic boards. We want them to define and design curriculum with us. We want them to participate with us in actual teaching, learning activity. We want them to give mentorship to students, teachers. We want teachers to go and do internship. We want students to go on internship. Now, all this today is happening through our mobile WhatsApp groups. There is no seamless mechanism through which a university like VIT and others who are able to engage with a large number of corporates for doing all these processes together. LinkedIn we are using. but then that also remains like a one-on-one channel. It remains between one person at the college and one person at the corporate. But two organizations are not talking to each other today. Alumni. Again, alumni is something that we all know we have to leverage now. We have all long histories, and I'm sure many of our alumni are even out of our system. We can only find, I'll give you our own example, we are able to only claim that we have a good database of alumni only of the last 15 years. 2005 से पहले था alumni किधर है हमें इतने अच्छे से नहीं मालूम है. Again, alumni have an emotional quotient, emotional connect with the university. We don't have a mechanism to better collaborate with them. We use a tool in VIT by the of a company called Wow. They are doing good alumni support software product for us, and we are happy with them. But still, I think there is a lot we can do to improve engagement. So registrations हो रहे हैं, LinkedIn पे registrations alumni करता है हमारे site पे, page पे, all that stuff is happening. How do we better engage? How do we throw out more opportunities for them to come back to college for various purposes? Faculty. Again, I believe gone are the days when once a person is recruited by a university, college, school, he will remain with you till he retires. Faculty has become, or recruitment of faculty has become a challenge. People are leaving jobs because they have better opportunities in other sectors, in other industries, and so on. We also have become more conscious about appraisal systems. We have become more conscious about the conduction of faculty and the training of faculty and the faculty development activities that we do. All this today, I believe, is largely unorganized, with nuance for us. Regulations. Now, when you say of nuance, the first word that comes to anyone's mind is regulations and compliances. I say it the last because I don't know how to change them. Every one of them, and I mentioned only a few regulators of institutes and colleges over here, UGC, AICTE, state government, school board. You may just multiply that maybe by 5 to see the number of regulators an institute, college, university, school might be having. Everyone demands data. Everyone demands data by today. In the next 1 hour, you have to provide. So every time it is only urgent. Every time it is only an emergency. You have to provide data in various formats, which also keep ever changing. So I can't define a template of providing information to my regulator because I know that system, that template will change, and then I'll have to incorporate a template in my software so the data flows properly and all that system happens. I think again, if we can have softwares for a long time in the finance industry, which change when the GST rates change, when the income tax rates change, when the TDS rates change so effectively. If someone puts his effort into understanding regulations, understanding the frequency of change, and adapting to that frequency as soon as possible, I believe it is very important. Course conduction, course programs. Vidya ma'am mentioned a lot about it. We have used a lot of LMS systems. In Vishwakarma, we have our own ERP LMS, which we have been using even before the lockdown, and of course, it got accelerated during the lockdown period. I also believe the buildings and ambience that we carry in our colleges, universities have to undergo a change. I'm not aware how this can be supported by EdTech, but then y'all are better at ideation than us. Network and connectivity. By connectivity, of course, I don't mean internet connectivity. In general, students, industries, and we as universities have an importance to network and connecting with other universities of higher learning. Our teachers want to connect with other professors of higher learning. LinkedIn is again one mechanism where peer-to-peer can happen and does happen. But I am not sure how this would, is this problem solved? I am sure whatever be the status of the foreign universities bill with the government of India, the foreign universities, when they want to set up and are allowed to set up in India, would first want to partner with an existing university. वो जो बाद में शादी होने वाली है, उसका मैच मेकिंग पीरियड अभी से चालू हो सकता है if a system is evolved around it. And last, technology. Well, technology mein, I think that people, founders are much more better than what I can speak and I can guide them. I only have an input. in the deployment process of any technology in a college, one big nuance is faculty is always behind. So when you are wanting to launch Zoom, the entire world adapted to it, students adapted to it maybe, and the faculty somehow was left behind. Vidya ma'am mentioned about school teachers, especially in rural areas, being required to be trained by university teachers to use LMS platforms and so on. So I propose that in your deployment strategies, please have a component of how do you engage with people who are going to use the technology, and that I think so would be useful in implementing the product or service. Students obviously is the center of the entire ecosystem. They are best at technology adaptation. Many other times we still believe that we lag with them when it comes to most of the recent uses of mobiles and how do you use technology and so on. And here I come to why I call this a socially conscious enterprise. While we are doing all this, and that is a big challenge between any other startup system and the edtech startup system, that we have to understand that in India, we are still a social enterprise. We are meant for serving the students and to make their careers. One requirement, sorry, I not say one requirement, but a general requirement of our system is that we have to provide the highest quality with the latest technology, with the latest inputs, with all something state of the art, but at the lowest possible cost. I think if we start imagining that we are over here to, of course, I understand profits, importance of valuations, and I don't take that away from here at all. But let us be conscious about this fact that to serve the society, and we talk about India, mass education, and know so many people using their tools that will increase the number of valuations and so on and so forth. This adaptation will happen, at least as our understanding goes, if the costs are low. Because still, the Indian psychology of paying money towards schools, universities, and hospitals is that we have to pay minimum. These people should not charge more, should not charge heavy, is the mass psychology, and we should be knowing this. I compliment all of you for being in the system of EdTech space. I personally believe that this is not a space where you are present or you have entered to disrupt anyone. But I believe if we collaborate, if the legacy institutes, schools, colleges, universities, and the EdTech startups, EdTech companies collaborate and they work together, we are solving a major social issue, and we are in fact creating the society together. It is a space where we can work together and evolve together. Thank you. My email address is mentioned for anyone who is wanting to connect with me. I do work with a few startups over here because I use their products, and I am very, very proud of what work you all are doing. Thank you so much.